Hi everybody, I'm Monica and welcome to my channel, Mystic Maiden Oracle. I wanted to come on and give you a reading for this week, Sunday, April 18th. So we'll do a reading, just 3 or 4 cards, and yeah, let's get to it. So first I'm going to use my Light Seers Oracle, and we'll just see what we get from that, and we'll go from there. So take what resonates and leave what doesn't. I don't read like a lot of other people that do tarot do, I noticed. I use tarot and oracle decks, and I channel while I do it. So, you know, a lot of readers are really into their swords and their pentacles and their cups, and that's great. I'll get there one day probably, but the way the messages come through, you know, it's more of just what I see, sense, or know, or feel, and I go with that. So again, if you have a different interpretation of it too, go with that, because that's what it's about, is your intuition and your interpretation and your perspective, and, you know, applying it in a way that's going to help you on your path. All right, so here we go. 5 of Pentacles. So this card, what I'm getting, which is really great. So I was thinking about the moon when I was picking this card too, and you know, the phases of it. And so the full moon's coming up on the 26th, and I always like to do, you know, kind of a personal inventory around that time, and that's what I feel like the person in this card is doing. So she's sitting down, you know, and she has her head between her knees, and so, you know, you could take that as, you know, maybe she's sad. We don't know. We can't see her face, but she's sitting by herself. And so 5-2 is a good, I see it as a transition number. So, you know, it's not 1 through 4, which is a beginning, you know, beginning numbers. And it's not 6 through 10, which is more of like the wrapping up or ending of cycles, things like that. So 5 is, you know, like your tipping point, or could be seen as that, or, you know, maybe you're thinking about making changes. Maybe, you know, there's a door and the key is right next to it, you know, so maybe there's new opportunities coming. Maybe it's a door actually that you've had to close too, you know, so that's what the thing about transition is, and applying it to where you're at is, it could mean a lot of things. So, you know, if you've had to close the door on something, leave a job, leave a relationship, you know, anything like that, that could be hard, but also remember that it's just temporary and something new is on the horizon. So when something ends or dies, or, you know, comes full circle, that's good. It might be hard to deal with, but that's part of being human, you know, and that's why we have to sit and recognize these things too, so that, you know, when everything happens in life, everything doesn't seem like so hard or so intense or so, you know, so ungrounding, right? So also what I'm seeing on this girl here is like, so she looks like she's got like scars, like she's been kind of scuffed up. So I'm taking that too to mean that, you know, we learn through our experiences. They're not all, you know, sunshine and roses. Most of our experiences are that leave an impression on us and that we learn our lessons through are really painful and really maybe chaotic, possibly even toxic. You know, there's relationships, there's addictions, there's conflict, just all different sorts of chaos and stuff. And so that takes a toll on a person, on any person. And a good thing to do when it's transition time would be to rest, you know, and go within like this girl's doing, you know, and shut the door, let the light in, because I want that to be pointed out too, is that even though she's kind of sitting in her darkness right there, the light is still there on that door, whether it's the one you're going to open or the one you're going to close. There's light shedding on it. So I think that brings us to a good transition point to pick our next card, which is from the Secret Language of the Light, Secret Language of Light deck. And we'll see, maybe this one will give us more insight on what she's reflecting on, what she's going within about. Because like our shadow work, we can't just be light and think that everything's all good. Oh, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but I don't believe that everything is, good. Nothing's perfect. I mean, I do believe things are good, but not everything, right? We need to have the balance. And if it weren't for the bad, hard times, we wouldn't know what the light was about and appreciate the good things and be grateful. So what might our soul want us to be thinking about? Maybe it's something that needs to be brought into the light too to help heal. Because remember I was saying she's kind of scuffed up. And so that's okay, we all are. I mean, nobody gets out of life without a scratch in some way, and just some people have a little bit more scars than others maybe. Excuse me, but that doesn't really mean anything. It just means we all have our own little story. All right. Ooh, 22, divine animals. So, that one's a bright one, huh? It's kind of hard to see. So 2 + 2 is 4. So I think that's kind of cool because so we're going one step back before 5. And I think that is validating the whole reflection thing and how she's going within. So he, she, whoever you are, but in this card it was a girl. So and then maybe too that has to do with looking at your feminine energy. So your emotions, how you react to things, people, places, and things, all that stuff, and dealing with your emotions, not putting them aside, doing what you need to do to take care of them. If you need help with them, seeking the appropriate place to help, to get yourself help to process these emotions or these feelings. I mean, emotions and feelings, thoughts, whatever it is, especially if you're trying to make a change. Change is, not always easy. And nobody should think that, you have to do everything alone or that you know everything, because it's not realistic, right? So teaching and learning is a process, and things are changing all the time too. So there's no way everybody can know everything or, think they do. They might know a lot, but everything not likely. So with this card and connecting, it says divine animals, something to maybe sit and reflect on would be like your your totem animals. So you can have more than one spirit animal, because as our lives change and we go through different phases, we need different support and help, right? So the same goes with our animals, but they never really leave us, they were still there and they can still pop up whenever they want to. That's the cool thing about them. And everything that's related to spirit in the universe is it's always there when we need it. We just have to ask. So maybe ask, there's a heart up here too. So I'm getting a lot of heart chakra stuff, which is good because we were talking about emotions and feminine energy and, creativity and the full moon coming up. So a lot of times some people associate the full moon, with new beginnings and cleansing and starting, maybe wrapping stuff up. I'm not sure. I like to start projects with the new moon because that's when my energy is higher. I actually like to sleep and hibernate during the full moon because the energy is just too much for me. So that would be something to be aware of too, is to try and figure out what you feel, during cycles. So moon cycles, whatever kind of cycle you want, we really kind of are creatures of habit, so we have patterns in some way, no matter what we're doing. So if we are trying to change something and we're reflecting, whether it be on emotions or thoughts or our, actions and activities, going within and figuring that out is good. And where we're going to figure it out is from our heart, because our mind will tell us a lot of stuff, but our heart feels things. And then also we can make ourselves not feel things too. So that would be a good thing to also maybe reflect on, I'm hearing, is that You know, if you're not feeling things or you've numbed yourself out to a feeling, don't do that. You know, try and see if you can figure out why. If you know why, see if you're ready to do the work around it, and then call on your spirit animal for support. So you might not know what it is, and that's fine. You can just sit and, you know, ask and then wait for the sign, but look for the sign, you know, and don't dismiss anything. You have to believe in it and see, you know, on this one we have a lion. So, you know, lions are a lot of the times associated with courage, and I mean, maybe laziness too, because it's a male lion. It's not, you know, a female, and they're the huntresses. But also, okay, so masculine and feminine energy, maybe trying to find balance too between the two. You know, like I said, 5 is kind of a tipping point, so that would make sense. You know, if if you're getting that vibe out of this too, needing, if that resonates with you, you know, maybe if you're feeling out of balance, take time and sit with yourself, do grounding activities, you know, focus on your breathing, try and stay in the moment as much as possible. If you find your mind wandering, write down what your mind is wandering about, you know, because that could be, you know, it could just be your brain interrupting, or it could be actual, you know, sign or, you know, guidance messages for you, telling you what you need to work on or let go or change or, you know, acknowledge. So since that's coming up, I'm gonna draw a card out of the, pick a card out of the Ascended Masters deck and probably get a little bit more insight. There'll be either support from one of the Ascended Masters, so one of them will come out and give you some wisdom, or maybe some guidance on more things to do to work on, you know, looking within. All power of joy, Maitreya. So there you go. So, and this is just for now, this whole show on the card thing. I'll have it set up soon the way I want it with my shelf, but I just got so excited and I wanted to do full cards for you. So anyway, sorry, back to it. Power of joy. I think that's really great because even though, you know, in the first card we had the feminine energy or the girl there sitting and reflecting, it doesn't mean that every time we like do any reflecting or take our inventory or whatever it is that we're doing to, you know, uncover another layer of shit that needs to be worked out or whatever, because it's usually not the stuff that's going good that we work on, right? It's usually the stuff that's kind of gross and nobody wants to talk about, and all that fun stuff. But the reminder here is that it doesn't have to be painful all the time, and it doesn't have to be, you know, like pouring salt in a wound. Figuring out what needs to be changed or like upgraded is a good thing, you know, because it makes us better in some way. It makes us healthier in some way. So we can either be more spiritually healthy, physically healthy, mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, or all of the above, you know. And so also all the colors of the chakras are present in this card. So I'm getting more messages about, you know, grounding, sitting with yourself, not so much like, so like they were saying, if you get your thoughts or you find your thoughts are wandering, to write them down, because spirit really wants you to sit and clear your mind and all of your chakras and really get into alignment and you know, be able to use all of your gifts, you know, release what you need to, open your heart more, you know, focus on what you do want, not what you don't want, what you do have, not what you don't have. So not focusing on the lack or the failures that are perceived failures, because I remember somewhere I read failure just means, or fail just means first attempt in learning. And learning is I think it was the theme of right now because the moon's in Gemini, and it was good for like the energy is like heightened communication and learning and being able to retain the things that you learn. So now is a good time actually to reflect and figure out what's the stuff that you've been doing, you know, not like your whole life. Like we don't, I mean, you don't have to do like the lifetime inventory. You could just like look back on the last 6 months, 6 weeks, I mean, 6 hours, whatever, but reflect back on, you know, your daily routine, your self-care, your, you know, service to your community or others. You know, just what are you doing? What do you want to be doing? And then if there's something that you want to relearn, you know, like if there's beliefs that you want to change and replace, notice those, but don't like obsess on them. And when you're replacing them, um, just let what you didn't like go, you know, and realize, remember too, that everything takes time. So if it's a habit or, you know, a new routine that you're trying to get, remember that you probably had whatever that old routine or that old thing was for a while. And it takes a minute to, you know, change a behavior or a thought process or a reaction to things. And when we're used to feeling certain emotions too, there's brain stuff that goes on, and like I don't know what that is to explain it, and I'm like, no, whatever the brain doctor is, neurologist, I don't know. I think that's wrong, but that's my point, is I don't know. But I do know that everything here is connected, just like we're all connected outside in the world, you know, and whether we know it or not, we're all affecting each other. So bringing that back full circle, and when we're looking on ourselves, so we're not looking at ourselves to, you know, punish ourselves or find out, you know, tell ourselves how much we suck or anything like that. We're just looking at ourselves to see how we can do better, if that's what we want, you know, what path are we on? Are we doing what is making us happy? Are we getting enough support, not just in the physical world, but from our spiritual you know, helpers, and, you know, our divine animal helpers too. So if you have, oh, there we go. See, I'm going to show it right there like that. I'm sorry for the glare, but anyway, so all these colors, you know, all around this line and then the other card, I just feel it is spirit saying that it wants you to be fully activated, fully lit up, you know, and there's light in all of these cards. I don't know if you can see it, but all of them have some sort of light or brightness in it. So with that, I'm going to draw from the Wild Wisdom of the Fairy Oracle, and see what they have to say. So I just was hearing too that a lot of times when we're learning things, it kind of helps us to repeat it and teach somebody else. So don't hoard your knowledge, you know, is what I just heard, which is kind of funny. So if you're, you know, if you're an expert in something, or you have a special skill, or, you know, because they brought up being of service too, you know, how can you share that with the world? You know, and spread joy with that too. So a lot of times when we're in this mode, doing something for somebody else, being of service, is what gets us out of it. And there's lots of ways to do that. And so, you know, just keep that in mind. That's what I was hearing. Okay. So, okay. 20, the littlest fairy. Appreciate the beauty and value of the exquisite and small. So that is super cute. So it's a little tiny fairy sitting on a mushroom. Every time I see mushrooms, well, I think of Alice in Wonderland, first of all. And then after that, I think of, the fun mushrooms. And how I've felt anyway on them. So I don't know if you've ever done them, but if you have, I had a very happy experience. Everything just seems like it's brighter. And when I was outside, just taking in everything, the colors were brighter. I could smell better. Like, I appreciated every single blade of grass in nature, and how the water flowed, and, you know, where the rocks just ended up, in the creek and stuff. So I think that goes missed a lot. We don't really stop and smell the roses very much. We probably aren't even planting them. Some people are, which is good. But I know that I haven't started a garden yet, and that's, you know, kind of been on my mind and making me sad, because I love watching my garden grow, and I did that. So I didn't do that. I helped do that. I should say the earth did it, my backyard did it, but we did it together. So I'm hearing that there's a lot of things that you can appreciate. It doesn't have to just be like a flower or something that you can see growing. You need to appreciate the beauty in yourself too, and all of the little things that you do for yourself to better yourself, or to better, the people around you, and not in a codependent way where you're doing things to make other people happy and sacrificing yourself for it, but you know, little things at work, like if you have a coworker that you work really good with that helps the day go by, and you get stuff done, or if you have an animal, divine animals, right? So if you have your own familiar that gets to hang out with you, and you're lucky enough to have their company, watch them and just see how they go about their day. They don't really get mad about anything, and they don't hold grudges as far as I know. And they just kind of go with the flow, and they're happy all the time, especially if you have a dog. I'm sure when you get home, they're always excited to see you, and that's a beautiful thing, because I know that when I go into stores or work, like, not everybody there is always happy to see me or happy to be there or whatever. And so, not that they have to be, right, but it'd be nice. But everybody's going through their own stuff, just like we are. So um, it's important to appreciate, every kindness, every nice gesture, every kind word, all kinds of things. There's all kinds of things to appreciate that are beautiful. And valuing, the exquisite and small. I think that's really important too, because I think value has kind of gotten out of control, and people, think valuable stuff is only how expensive your car is, or, how big your house is, and things like that. And that's all great, because I'm sure that they worked really, really hard for it, and all that. But that is not the only perspective of beauty and value. And so, like I said, with this card, I'm getting that we just need to find beauty in the little things, just like this tiny little fairy and that cute itty bitty mushroom. All right, you guys, I hope that resonated with you. And if it didn't, I'm so sorry. Hopefully next time I will give you a reading that does. But thank you for coming by. And if you like this, please subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.